up, everybody? Welcome to the Hana podcast. Sitting down here with Pastor Owen
Yep, in my rocking chair.
in the rocking chair. Okay, here's the question. It's been a few weeks. The golf shoes, they've been helping at all?
Um, uh, I don't see a difference.
So not worth, huh?
Lessons help.
Oh, yeah, that makes more sense than. I was telling myself with like surfing and stuff, if I just bought a new board or like spent $200 on fins, I'd be so much better at surfing. But it's not really how that works, huh?
Yeah, this guy, I was at the driving range and this guy stopped me. He goes, "Hey, Pastor, can you pray for my clubs?" And he laughed and I said, "It's not the clubs, brother."
I'll pray for him, but I don't think that's gonna help.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, as you talked about in the message, you've been golfing a lot, huh? Are you really going like every day?
No, not every day. Thinking about it every day.
Are you doing like you start the microwave, stand there, practice the swing up in the
I
microwave
find
kind?
myself doing that in the elevator or, any kind of downtime. Your mind kind of goes there. It's not good.
Yeah. Well, speaking of downtime, speaking of mind wandering,
Yeah.
man, what a message this past weekend about talking about being tired and not just like physically tired, but burnt out, exhausted, weary. I felt that.
Yeah.
I felt that.
Yeah. Yeah. Like I said, it's beyond tired. Yeah. It's when your soul gets wearied, that's the
Yeah.
battle.
Not just taking a nap kind, not just like, which honestly, I feel like a lot of my problems, though lately it's been pretty good. If you don't know, I just had a daughter, and a lot of my problems would have been solved if I could just like sleep.
Yeah.
Yeah, just got an extra nap in for the day, you know.
Yeah. It gets better. It gets better.
It's starting to get better now. Like, she slept what, like almost 7 hours last night, 7 hours straight. So
Oh, that's good.
yeah, it's getting pretty good. So I've been waking up in the morning and just being like, "Whoa, I'm thinking," you know, instead of just running off instinct and like just survival mode. So it's been really good.
Yeah.
But how do you, Pastor Owen? We talked about it a little bit, but so there's sometimes where we think, "Oh, I'll just take a nap," or "Oh, I'm just tired, go to sleep early." How do you know when? How do you start to differentiate when it's tiredness versus kind of starting to creep into weariness?
I think your not just your body, but your emotions will tell you that's stress. So take the opposite of being obsessed with golf. If you're constantly thinking about golf and you're standing there making the motions, that you're kind of moving towards obsession of golf. Weariness, I think, is the opposite end of that, where you can't take your mind off of, say, the financial mess that you're in, or you're preoccupied with what happened in a broken relationship, and your mind constantly, you can't go to sleep because of that. Those are the things that you're shifting from tiredness. You're tired, you fall asleep. Weariness, it's just on your mind the whole time, and it tires you. Your soul, your spirit, your bone, you feel it in your bones. You just don't want to wake up, for another day.
So it's almost like that sense of obsession. Like if we're gonna go with golf, where you're coming at it from like a positive, where it's, "Oh, I'm thinking about it because I enjoy it, and I'm trying to practice everything," and so it's always on your mind. But that weariness is like it's always on your mind, but not because you're stoked, not because you're like wanting to think about it.
Yeah, and you follow that golf metaphor a little bit more. it's on your mind because you want to get better. You want to practice because you want to get better. You want to shoot a better score. The weariness goes the opposite direction. You're looking at it at getting worse. It's only
Hmm.
going to get worse. It's only going to go down the tube. It's only going to, so you're heading in the totally opposite direction from the obsession of doing something good and positive. So the weariness is, I don't know if I'm going to get out of this. And so when you're weary, I think a lot of times you start, I don't want to generalize, but you can either lose weight because you're not eating, or some people gain weight because they're trying to take their minds off of it, and they're trying to erase that from their self by satisfying, the sugar side of them. And so, it just goes off the charts.
Yeah, gotcha. So, what are some like for me, there have been times where I've been burnt out, I've been stressed about things, and like I feel like it's almost this curve. I guess we'll go curve down because it's like not a positive thing. But like it starts off really gentle. And it's like, oh, it's not that bad. It's stressful, but I'll deal with it. And then it like tanks really quickly. Um, what are some like of the early things where it's not so bad? What are some of the things we should be looking out for? And then some things that we can be doing to avoid that really steep drop off.
I think it starts with, a lot of things in our own character growth, our own personal lives, of the foundation that we're trying to set up. Because when a foundation starts to crack open, when the bottom starts to go out, when the when we're being worn out, so to speak, what's going to hold you up is the foundation that's beneath it.
Mm.
So, what are you doing to prepare and support that foundation now? And see, a lot of times we're so concerned with the outer appearance, the outside things that people see. So whether it's our business or, keep a happy family and all that stuff, which is all good that people see, but we're neglecting what's happening on the inside. We're neglecting the parts that's underneath that nobody sees. That when we get weary, that's why, Galatians was so important, that you get weary doing good. So when that good part starts wearing away, and it starts to expose the foundation or the lack of it, we cave in. And so, the things that you need to start doing now is building up that underneath. So whether it's the foundation, scripture, devotions. So I think I shared at the end, the practical stuff that we can do with your balanced life, not only the things that you like to do, but devotional, getting your mind healthy, because you never know when that's going to hit you. So
Yeah.
to build that up now,
So it's almost like a rainy day fund kind of thing where you should be putting into practice all of the things that are going to carry you through those seasons.
Yeah, what you're depositing in, that you're going to need someday. Someday it's going to happen. The other is that, the trust in God. That was the whole point of that message when I got towards the end, where, when you fully trust and fully put your hope in, fully are willing to wait for God. Maybe I went over that point a little too quickly, but I think it's an important one where the how and the why is irrelevant.
Mm.
Because what gets us weary is, how am I going to get out of this? Okay, you say to trust God, but when am I going to get out of this? When is my husband going to come back? When is my finances going to return? And, that's not fully trusting. You're still trying to figure out the what and the how and the why. The fully trusting in God is like, okay, I'm going to keep my eyes fixed on him. I'm going to keep myself moving forward. And when God allows it, so the example of David, when he finally was able to sit on the throne 13 years later, he was getting blasted the whole time. From the time he got anointed as king, Saul was coming at him. It's going to take him out. But even in the cave, David said, no, we're not going to touch God's anointed. That's trust. That's fully trusting. He could have
Mm.
taken him out right there when Saul's doing his private thing. But David said, no, it's going to be God. God's going to handle, and fully trusting.
Yeah, and not in the sense that like not dismissing mental health and depression and anxiety, which like are legitimate, and like you should be going to a mental health professional if you need to. But in the sense that like we can hold the tension of the hope and the reality of what we're going through with the weariness, with the burnt out. I mean, I think of that verse in Mark where the father who's asking Jesus to heal his son, or it's not coming to me off the top of my head. But he has that line, I believe, help my unbelief.
Yeah.
And we even look at, I mean, David's a great example because we have the Psalms where David starts off with like, everything is terrible. Nobody likes me. I have no friends. And then at the end, he like rights the ship, where he allows himself to be there and like experience these feelings and the what are often truths of the situation. But then he also doesn't let himself stay there, and he works himself towards, okay, but I remember that even though all of this is true, God is still good.
Yeah. And you go about your life, you go about your life. So again, trusting isn't, okay, God, you got it all together. I'm going to sit back and do nothing because you're going to take care of me. No, you still go about your life. You still try to be the best that you can. You still try to do the best that you can as a parent or, as a worker. You think of the people of Israel when they were exiled into Babylon. God said to them, you plant your plants, you go about your work, keep doing what you're supposed to be doing, because he had a plan that eventually they're going to return to their land. And it's not a matter for them to figure out, okay, so when is that? Let me mark it on my calendar. It's supposed to happen. You do things like that, you're going to get weary. You're going to weary yourself out. You're going to get worried. I'm trusting God, but it's not happening yet. God says, no, don't worry about that. And so I think it's an important part about trusting, understanding that you still go about doing your work. You still go about living your life. And God will take care of it. Mm. And even the people that, sometimes we think, well, as a pastor, you can have that kind of, no, it's not true. We still suffer that. I heard this statistic the other day. It was very alarming to me. 38% of pastors are checking out because of COVID. They're walking away. They're going to sell insurance or something. They're leaving the ministry. Now, these are pastors, spiritual leaders that were supposed to be teaching the word and helping their people. But the pressures brought on by COVID and shutdown and people not coming back to church, etc., it was just wore on them that they're walking away. And it's like, oh my goodness, no, what's happening? So you get weary. You get weary trying to do the best you can, but don't stop. Keep going.
I really like that point about waiting and how it's not like the passive thing, and how it's like an active choice that you make. Like, this is the action that I'm taking, is to wait.
Yeah.
And just like waiting on God's timing. It reminded me of I read this book, Invitation to a Journey by Robert Mulholland. And he talks about like the stages of discipleship and like being formed as a person of Jesus. And he was talking about like the final stage, like the final top level of being more like Jesus is like everything that happens in your life is like you basically give up your own relationship with God to God. And so it's like, instead of, oh God, why is this happening to me? Or what can I do to get out of this? It's like okay, this is just what's happening. And like, God has me here for a reason, and God will take me out when I am done,
Yeah. But it's really setting those foundational things up in your life. It's now, especially if you're not going through something really stressful, start setting up those blocks in your life now, because when that time happens, at least you have something to stand on. and the foundation starts to crack, it's not going to crack just on that surface and you fall apart. You got a full depth of character and that you're standing on. So
Now, if you're, say, you just had a child, you don't have a lot of free time to go golfing, and you don't have a lot of free time to like do the things that fill you. Like, I think of someone in our church who like works in the legislature, and he's like, "Oh yeah, I'm probably gonna have like 80 to 90-hour weeks for the next like 3 weeks." And it's just like, dude, that's crazy. He's like, "Yep, that's just what it is." So if you don't have like the time really to do things that fill you or like sit down and really take your time, do you have like, I don't want to call them like cheat codes, but like ways you sneak in those practices in your life?
it's called discipline. I think we have time. We have to discipline ourselves, especially when you're in that season of your life that things are just coming at you. More so, you have to sit there and really be accountable for the time that you do have.
Mm.
So what is that time? Because things are going to steal away from you. Your baby's going to cry at some hour that you never expected. So you can't schedule that, right? You can't schedule when she's going to cry, when she's going to poop and stuff. So it's going to happen. But there are some times where you have a good feeling that you can capture this. And so with you and Ashley, between husband and wife, mom and dad, figure out what those times are and be very intentional that I need this time. And that's the filling the cup thing, trade that thing off. So she needs to know what it is that's going to fill you for maybe just an hour. And it's going to fill her. And you give permission for those times to happen.
Mm.
But you got to be especially disciplined to make sure it happens. This book I'm reading right now, here's maybe a bonus for some people who may be watching this. This book is called Ordering Your Private World. Ordering Your Private World by Gordon MacDonald.
Nice.
I don't know if you can try to call this up here. You see that?
Oh, you got a nice little Kindle right there.
Yeah. So Ordering Your Private World by Gordon MacDonald. It talks all about prioritizing. How do you prioritize your life? What should you be looking at? It's building this foundational thing that we've been talking about.
Mm.
But it requires, the discipline within yourself to set those things up, depending on the season that you're going through.
Where the busier, more stressful seasons, it's even more important to have that set.
But yeah, and do it. Whether you're just overwhelmed right now, start the practice, because that season will pass. And then when you're in that practice, it starts to really, you're depositing a lot now, because another season is going to come. It's going to be very demanding on you, but you're going to have that deposit in you. And just by the discipline and the training, exactly what to do. You know how to respond to that stuff.
That's really good. If there's someone listening to this who's going through, they're in that season right now where they are stressed, they're weary, and they don't necessarily have that deposit, what advice would you give to that person?
I would say just start small. Start with like 10 minutes, 15 minutes of what is that one thing? And I would say the Bible. I would say get into the Word. I would say go to the book of Psalm. If you don't know what to read, go to the book of Psalm, because that tracks David's life, running from Saul, being in the cave or hiding, or, finding himself in a place where he can't get out. But just in that one chapter, he kind of resolves it. I'm going through this tough time. Lord, are you listening? God, are you even there? And at the very end, he's praising God with that. And so he brings it around. So I would say just start with that. if I can just stay with golf, since we're on that, it's like you're playing around the golf on the golf course where the wind is blowing, your ball is in a divot, it's not on a smooth grassy ground, and you got to make a correction, and you don't know what to do really. Now, you're not going to have your golf instructor or your teacher standing there telling you what to do. You got to figure out something, but you got to hit the ball. And even if you hit the ball and it doesn't go the way you want it to, at least you hit the ball. You got it out of that situation. Now you can readjust to the next situation. Okay, now you play around like that, and you're going to leave that round frustrated, but you will have a time to go to the driving range. You will have a chance to swing the club and swing the club. And if you have a friend, if you have a guy who can really help you, you can invite him to a session to help you with just the little things there. But you do that so that you build up the resource in you that when you play another round of golf, because you're going to play another round of golf, the wind's going to be blowing, the rain's going to be coming down, you're going to find yourself in that spot. And now at least you have a little bit of more knowledge of how to respond to that. And again, you hit it, it may not be the best thing, but you do it again. See, it's what's important to you. So staying with golf, is playing a good round, is that important to you? If it is, you put in the time. Okay, now flip it to life. If having a life where you can move through those times of weariness, because it's going to happen. Even youth grow tired and weary, right? Says Isaiah. We're all going to hit those seasons where the rain's going to come, the wind's going to blow. How do you respond to that? It's going to be determined by what you've done at the driving range, what you've done in that even 10 minutes that you have in the Word of God, or sitting with someone that can, have coffee with you and go over stuff like that. So all those times that are so-called down times are times that you're investing for when you're going to hit those moments, times of weariness, times of sleeplessness. So, but it's discipline.
Yeah. I feel like that's what it really comes down to, which is not really a strong suit of mine. I
learn.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a lot better, and like I'm getting better, but I'm not like I don't really enjoy like schedule and routine a lot in my life, which is where 100% where I am right now. We're trying to get Sayla on a routine, and so it's like, okay, you got to be up at the same time every day and like down at the same time every day. And so like I was talking to someone, he was like, yeah, I have like my entire week laid out, and it's just that every week. I was like, dude, if I drive to work the same way for too long, I get bored and I try to find a different way to drive, So I feel like this is something that like I really need to work on as things start to pick up in my own life, just that routine of like.
Here's the bottom line question, I think, and that you learn along the way. Not everybody gets this right away. I didn't. So I'm talking to you now. I'm 67. Goodness. Took me this long. Bottom line question. And the earlier you get it, I think might be better for you. The question is this: what do you want? What do you want? Okay, again, stay with golf. Before, you play golf? Oh yeah, I play, but I don't like to keep score. You play golf? Oh yeah, I play like, maybe twice a year. Father's Day and then another. So when I go out to the course, I don't have really high expectations. Whatever's. Yeah, the ball goes in the water. Okay, yeah. It's balls that I found anyway, junk balls anyway. Okay, what do you want? Now my desire has changed. I want to know what it's like to have a good round of golf. Just to feel good. So what does that mean? I got to put in time. I got to be disciplined to hit these things. Volleyball, stay with sports. Volleyball. I cannot play backyard volleyball. I cannot because I have played competitive sport. I know what it feels like. I know, that's what I wanted. And in that season of my life, oh man, you talk about discipline. We were there, we played, we practiced grueling stuff, and not just the game of volleyball, the training that went into it, the conditioning, the weight room, everything. So I know what that takes. With life, with your family, what do you want? You want a family that just kind of cruises by and yeah, well, whatever is kind of attitude. You can have that. What do you want? That's basically it. That's really the bottom line question. When I do marriage counseling for those in trouble, okay, when we speak to you, I sit down with husband and wife. The first question I ask them, I say, what do you want? Because if they tell me, well, we don't want this, we want to just get divorced, what can I say, right? What do you want? Well, we really want to come back. We really want, okay, well, let's talk about that. Here's some things that need to be done. It's just part of what you want. If that's what you want, you got to invest in that. So with our lives too, what do you want? When you hit that tough time, do you want to have the resources in you? Do you want to have the foundation already built? So you're not scrambling around to try to fix it, trying to fix it on the fly. It's going to take a lot slower. It's going to be more frustrating. But what do you want? That's basically the question.
That's something that I've kind of been feeling. It's really helpful to have that language, like put it into like one sentence, basically.
Yeah.
Because it's like, okay, do I want to get everything going and like get prepped so that I can go to sleep early and like feel good the next day? Or do I really want to just like sit here and watch an extra 15 minutes of YouTube, Or like in the morning, do I want that extra 10 minutes of sleep? That's not really going to like help me in the long run at all. 10 minutes isn't that big of a deal.
Yeah.
Or do I want to get up and like set myself for the day, Yeah. And so I've been trying to like ask that question when I feel like, oh, I'm so tired. I should just sit on the couch and watch YouTube or Hulu or whatever and just veg out for a little bit. It's like, okay, is this going to help me get what I want? Is like the language that you're using. It's like, is this going to help me to feel better in the long run? Or is this just kind of a Band-Aid that's letting me not think about things for 10, 15 minutes, Yeah.
And that's why God left it up to us. The only thing he cannot control is what we choose, eventually what we choose to do. That's the whole Garden of Eden thing, right? From any tree in the garden you can eat, but that tree you cannot eat. He didn't remove the tree. The tree was still there. Basically, he's saying to Adam and Eve, what do you want? You want to enjoy this for the rest of eternity? Or do you want to, I've given you the choice, up to you. Deuteronomy, I set before you life and death, a blessing and a curse. Choose life. You choose life. He's not going to make that choice for you. You choose life so that you, and then he adds on, and your descendants. So, and you and your generations. So that you enjoy not just today, you enjoy tomorrow morning and the next day. But you got to choose. So what do you want? Basically.
Yeah. And it's helpful to have that answered because like when those times where it's like, this seems really good, or like, oh, I should go out and do this. But it's not, I know that it's not going to be like helpful in the longer run. Having the answer of like, no, this is what I want. This is what I'm working towards. This is going to help me like Occam's razor, cut out the unnecessary things, I don't think that's what Occam's razor is, but the premise is the same. Like having the answer is like, actually, I don't want to go and do this. I know that it would be fun and like it might be cool for a minute, but like this is what I'm actually trying to work towards. And I'll help like with decision making in big and small decisions. Man, that's good stuff.
Yeah. And it's very simple. The question is real simple. And like I said, it took me this long to find out and ask myself that kind of question. You'd think somebody who has been through the college and post-college education and all that I had it all together. I didn't. And I didn't really ask myself that basic question, what do you want? I just kind of just did. I followed along. I just went along with emotions, feelings, whatever, and got me in all kinds of trouble. But I think what's helped me now is, okay, what do I want? What do I want for my family, for my marriage? What do I want my grandkids to remember about me? Although, if they get older and they don't remember, that's not a problem. I got to be satisfied that I'm doing everything I can to satisfy that question. What do I want? I want to be a grandpa, a good grandpa.
So what if you're on the younger side and you don't quite know what you want?
You'll learn. That's why you either learn now or you learn later. So you can take it from people that have been around the block, or you can say, nah, I got it. Okay, go back to golf, yeah.
Let's go back to golf.
So when this guy said, hey, if you want to go to the driving range, I can show you a couple things. And now in my mind, I can say, nah, I can handle this myself. I'm an athlete. I'll figure it out. But what made me ask him was, what do I want? I do want to know what that feels like. And the things that he showed me the other day, and I hit the ball. I've never hit the ball like that before in my life. And it was sweet. It was just such a sweet feeling. But what do you want?
Well, I feel like that was surprisingly heavy.
Yeah.
So Pastor Owen, thanks for sitting down. What I want right now, I'm going to go make some lunch.
Yeah, me too.
All right. Well, hey, Pastor Owen, thanks for sitting down. Thanks for sharing, just your wisdom, and it's so valuable for people like me who are still in the early days. I believe and receive. I'm still young. But yeah, thanks for sharing life lessons that you've learned and all that.
Yeah, that's awesome. And it's something I'm thinking through, how can we multiply this, so that there are others that like me sharing with those like you. And because I think what we all want is to see the next generation really coming up. So,
well, that's all the time we got.
Yeah.
Thanks for making time, PE. I'll see y'all next week. I'll see you all on Sunday, and we'll see y'all next week on the Hana podcast.
Good. Thanks, Willie.
Cheers, everybody.
Okay.